Hello, and everybody. I want to welcome you to our first podcast or vlog, live feed, whatever you want to call it. Oh my gosh, LGBTQ plus story time, community history. So I'm Marshall Shore, and I will let the other hosts introduce themselves.
I'm Jasmine Kemp.
And I am Dr. Beverly Polanitz, and everybody just calls me Dr. Bev.
Indeed we do. Oh my gosh. So I am so excited to start this. I mean, one that was so for me, it's like, it's like we've got the LGBT History Project, which is through Pride. And so as well as ASU libraries. And I was just chatting with Jasmine. I was like, at some point we should maybe take a field trip and go visit Nancy over at the archives. A lot of what they do have is online, but they still have stuff that we can go take a look at and just kind of see how they're doing that whole process of what they are doing over there, which I thought would be kind of fun. And so really this whole project came about. If you're ever walking along Roosevelt on the north side at about 2nd Street, if there was a 2nd Street there, if you look down, there is a plaque in the sidewalk commemorating the 307, which was a bar that was there that we think was LGBTQ friendly from the 50s, became very drag friendly in the 80s, and then shut down permanently in 2000. And so even though the building was removed or demolished, we were able to get a plaque in that talks about how it was a space for the community, as well as famous for DeGrazia murals, who he was a young artist just looking to basically drink. And as long as he was painting, his drinks were covered. So that place was full of DeGrazia murals. His museum is in Tucson, if you ever want to go visit that. So basically the whole goal of this podcast is to kind of look at LGBTQ Arizona, kind of that LGBT lifestyle, history, kind of a little bit of all of it kind of thrown in together. So let's start off with Doc Bev. How long have you been in Arizona?
Too long? Oh,
well, I guess. Okay, first up, I guess, what are your pronouns? Maybe that's a better way to introduce. So
I am she. That would be my pronoun, right?
Very
she.
Good.
But I'd rather say I'm just me.
She, me.
There you go. I like it. She, me.
Nope, I can see the shirt she. Now.
Love it.
Me too. All right. What else?
And Jasmine, what are your pronouns?
Oh, my pronouns are she, her, hers.
She, her, hers.
Yeah.
I'm she, me, she, her, hers. I like she, her, hers.
I'm giving you all of the possible pronoun use cases.
Okay.
Mine are he, him, his. So yeah.
Cool.
And so, Jasmine, how long have you been in Arizona?
Coming up on 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So where'd you come from?
I guess in contrast to Dr. Bev. I came from Southern California.
Nice.
Yeah.
Why did you leave Southern California? It's such a beautiful place to be with all the water.
It is beautiful. I'll give it that, but it's not going anywhere, and I needed to leave.
I got that. I miss the water so much. That's why when you say, how long have I been in Arizona? Too long. I really miss the water. I'm originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and we have 3 rivers there. It's not the ocean, but it's water.
Yeah.
And I come to Arizona, and before I got here, I kept seeing dry river. Like, dry? Is that the name of the river? I get here, all the rivers are dry. I'm like, oh my God, they really meant dry.
Until they're not.
Exactly. You're right. Until they're not. What about you, Marshall?
I have been here 20 some years. Arrived as a librarian with the city of Phoenix.
Oh.
Working in South Phoenix and at a small library where there was a rich old tradition of the community. It was situated basically like 7th Avenue and Buckeye. And so my first introduction to Arizona was hearing about the community through people's stories. And so that was one of the things I love, is the fact that I'm still playing with Arizona stories.
Wonderful.
Amazing.
I love it that you're doing this, Marshall. I have to admit to the whole world, I love talking with you. You are so full of information and history. And I've been here, I'm sure, 40 years. And I know very little about the community except for the part that I lived through and enjoyed so much in the history of Arizona. However, when I first came here, I was in shock. I was like, this place is 20 years behind the times. Oh my God, what am I going to do? And so I've watched it grow and develop. And I remember, what is it, the 302?
The 307.
line?
Yeah.
307. I remember we didn't go there a lot because we were busy at some of the ladies' clubs.
Well, because you also did, there was the one networking group that you belonged to.
Right. I belong to a organization called LADS, and we did so many different fun activities, community buildings, car washes, hay rides. It was a lot of fun. And we had our hangout club was called Fat Fingers up on 7th Street. 7th Street,
Yeah.
I believe, Missouri. It's called something else now, but we called it Fat Fingers. And I was thinking about it the other day. I'm like, why did they name that Fat Fingers? Who came up with a name like that?
Maybe the owner was a little chubby and had fat fingers.
That's exactly what went through my head. I said it had to be the owner had fat fingers.
Indeed. And when I got here, all I kept hearing about how there was no LGBTQ history. And I was like, there's gotta be something, but they're like, oh, everything's been torn down.
Yeah.
And for me, it was actually a trip back to Provincetown to go hang out with a friend. And I'm flipping through in a junk shop a stack of those muscle magazines from the 50s and come across an artist, George Quaintance, who was doing like half-naked cowboy art, and the address was Phoenix, Arizona. And I was like, hey, I found some history right here.
Found something.
So, and then I came back, and that kind of launched me into a lot of this, of just trying to capture some of those stories. And in fact, actually next week, this coming weekend, I'm going to be in Coolidge talking about LGBTQ history.
Really?
Yeah.
What? There's a lot of it in Coolidge.
There's not a lot in Coolidge, but they're having me come in and just kind of talk about some of that Arizona history. So kind of like the first female impersonator that we can put in Arizona is I think in the 1890s.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So when people say there's no history here, I'm like, well, that all depends on how you look at it. So.
Totally.
Wow. Interesting.
And then you've got the fact that, we've got Boycott, which is the lesbian bar there on the Melrose Curve.
Mm-hmm.
That was recently featured in the Leah Delaria documentary.
It was?
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. I need to see that, huh?
So yeah, it was like, because I remember, and Pride's coming up next month. Oh my gosh.
Oh
my gosh.
It's gonna be interesting.
There's so much going on next month, but
and
the fair opens tomorrow.
Oh, it does?
Yeah.
Well, I have to admit, I have had my head in a lot of other things going on. I've gotten myself extremely busy, and it's wonderful that I haven't kept up with what's going on, but the fair starts tomorrow. Guess who will be at the fair next weekend? Not this weekend. I'm doing soccer this weekend.
Oh, nice.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, my little G baby. She is a goalie soccer star. I call her the soccer star. Okay, she's pretty good though. So I'm going to go watch her play all weekend.
Nice. And the weather should be quite delightful.
Yeah, it won't be 120 degrees.
Exactly.
Whoa,
Exactly.
Lovely.
I love this time of the year. This is why I stay in Arizona. Is when October comes. It's so beautiful. It's just, you couldn't ask for anything better. While the East Coast is being beat up, I'm originally from Pittsburgh, and I call and I make fun of them, and I'm just having a wonderful time while they're freezing and trudging through the snow and the ice, and we're having a wonderful time. What I say.
Indeed. And then next Friday we have our banned book reading coming up, Doc Bev.
I'm so ready for it. I am so ready for it.
That is next Friday.
Yeah. And I think you're working, aren't you, Jasmine?
I work until 5, so I was gonna just run down there immediately.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. So I mean, it'll be outside at the Alwyn House.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. I mean, they've got that great little back patio with the stage and everything, with Sister Sermon as our MC. And then I think we have 9 readers. So reading from a wide variety of things.
And I am one of the readers. I am so happy.
Yeah.
And I feel very fortunate that you thought of me to be a part of it. It's something that I hold dear in books, especially the one that I've chosen to read. It's okay if I talk about that on here, right?
Of course.
I have chosen to read small part of I know why the cage bird sings. And there's a little poem. I don't know if most people know, there's a poem that goes along with the book. And I'm going to recite the poem.
Oh, nice.
And just give just a few minutes of, not a few minutes because we don't have a lot of minutes, but just a little bit of the background on why the cage bird sings, and then read the poem. And I'm just so excited about that. In fact, as a storyteller, I've had the fortune to actually read some of Maya Angelou's, tell some of her stories and read some of her poems. And it's such a good feeling to be honored just to repeat the things that she's written. It's fantastic. I love it. Love it. So thank you, Marshall, for thinking of me.
Oh, you are welcome. I mean, I was like, you're a storyteller. And so I thought, well, what a perfect opportunity to tell some stories.
Right.
And so I mean, we've got a couple of folks from the Pride Board. So yeah, so we've got a nice mix of folks. My friend Erica is going to be there reading, so it's going to be a great crowd.
And so I was thinking about you, Jasmine, yesterday.
Okay.
And I was thinking how wonderful it is that you have joined us, and to bring that energy that youth has. So I want to just, personally welcome you and thank you for joining us. And of course, I've got lots of questions for you. In fact, one question I have, and I really shouldn't ask questions, but I was thinking about this, and I was like, if there was a time, one day that I could go back to, what would I go back to? And is there something in that day that I would want to change? What would I change about that day? And so I said, I'm going to ask Jasmine that question.
Oh my gosh. Well, did you think of your own answer?
Oh, I did come up with an
Okay.
answer,
Okay.
and it was when I received my doctorate degree. Um, that night, when I went to the ceremony, I was so excited because I was able to accomplish something for me. All of my other degrees I accomplished for my mother because you know how mothers like to brag about their children. So it gave her something to
Mm,
talk to the girls about. But that doctorate degree was something I wanted for me. And so the night that I received that doctorate degree, there was so much excitement. My mother was there, her friends was there, and just family and friends. And it was just a fantastic evening. But one thing I didn't get to do in all of the excitement, I did not get to take a personal picture with my mother. I had pictures all these people around, but never a picture with just me and my mother. And if I could change anything, I would have a picture taken with me and my mother because she passed a few months after that.
oh wow.
And I just think, how they say, oh, in your deathbed, you're going to think about all those things you wish you had, could have done. And before I die, I was saying, man, I wish I had taken a picture on that night with my mom. That would
Mhm.
be so cool now to be able to just look at it and say, hey, mom, thanks for being there and, helping me to accomplish it and, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I thought about. That would be the
Yeah.
day that I would go back to and make a change. But what about you guys? What would you do?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, I'll say thank you for having me because you said thank you for being here, and I feel honored that I'm the token youth involved. I don't know how much youthful energy I can bring because in my
Yeah.
peer groups I am labeled the grandma, but mostly because I just go to bed early and have a low social battery. But my knee-jerk reaction to that question is like actually quite shallow and just thinking about all the times that I've like post-mortemed any kind of social interaction with a group setting and being like, why did I say that? Why did I say that? That was so weird. And like, but I can't think of a specific example, but that's like my gut reaction. But if I actually think about it in a meaningful way, because those are all just, it doesn't, none of that stuff matters at all. Um, I mean, I just went to, my dad got married over the weekend, last weekend, and I just went to his wedding and I could keep reliving that. It was pretty
Wow.
fun. Um, and it was just a lot of extended family I hadn't seen in a long time and didn't even really put together that they would be there. I haven't been thinking about what my dad's wedding would ever look like. So I just kind of showed up and then realized that there were these aunts and uncles and cousins and
Yeah.
relatives,
Yeah.
and it felt special. And then I just very recently, my family lost my grandpa, and he was my last
Mm.
grandparent, and I could
Oh.
and so he was just notably missing at the wedding because it was right
Oh.
his
Yeah.
passing. And the photos that I have with him, kind of, you know, thinking of your story about pictures with your mother, I'm like, they're either from 5 years ago or they don't exist. And I could go back to any day that I spent with him and just take a gazillion photos of me just in his apartment doing whatever.
Right.
The only photo I
Right.
have well, not only, but the most recent is like I look like a little kid. I just don't look like
Okay.
I look very different now.
Ooh. Hey, Marsha.
Gosh, I mean, there are so many days I would like to go back to, but not necessarily and change anything. I'm just trying to think if there is anything I would like to change. I'm almost thinking it's kind of like a riffing off of you, DrBev, and thinking about a photo. So I recently had a birthday, and I talked to my mom, and so she was going down memory lane. And when I was young, my parents would send me off to his mom and grandmother's house. And so that was my great great grandmother Hardy. And it's like my mom was how it's like, I was kind of the favorite grandchild. And so, but I can remember sitting on my grandma Hardy's lap, reading a book while she was reading a book to me. And, I would love to say I wish I had one of those books. I actually have since purchased one of the books that she would read to me. Okay. And it wasn't that it was even the book. Because it's like, and it was more just the fact of what we were doing. I didn't realize she did the same thing with my dad, and probably those same books.
Nice.
Because it was like, they lived in a big old house. It's like the word new didn't really exist in the vocabulary. And so the book that I grew up reading was probably from the 40s. And so I'm sure he read the same book sitting in her lap.
Wow.
And so I guess wishing I had some of those books.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so I guess that's the one. I mean, it's like more about just the object. I mean, because you can see I like things.
So what book did you buy?
Oh my gosh. Don't cancel me. It is a book called Pinky Marie.
Pinky Marie.
And it is, oh gosh, it's like if I knew we were going to go down this route, I would have actually gone to go grab it. But it's about a Black girl, and these birds come and untie the ribbons in her hair. And it's just one of those things where the book is probably highly inappropriate now.
Of course.
But it's more the memory of just sitting in her lap being read that book. I mean, I can remember the copy that we had was a hardcover. It had electrical tape holding it together. It had been well loved.
Oh my gosh.
Did it have any pictures? Any pictures in it?
Actually, it was a children's book. It was a picture book.
You're telling this, and I don't know if I'm just visualizing what you're saying, or if this is a memory. But I have a memory of a story about a little Black girl and birds untying the ribbons in her hair. I don't know if I'm visualizing that from your story, or if that's a memory that I have.
Huh.
But that's pretty cool, though. I like that.
So I'll send you some of the images.
Yeah, please do.
So
please do. Yeah, I can check and see if I'm
you
remembering.
If it is the book, remember. I mean, it might be one of those things, because at that point, I mean, you didn't have much representation in literature.
Right. Yeah.
So anything that I would have gotten a hold to, it would have stayed in my brain.
Right.
Definitely.
Totally.
Cool. That is too cool. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for asking.
So when was your birthday, Marshall?
It was Wednesday.
Oh my gosh. Happy belated.
So indeed. So I am 57. And so I guess in celebration, or not celebration, the Phoenix Art Museum, the Arizona Copy Institute, did a presentation talking about men's tailoring. And so it was actually the first time they have done something on men's fashion. And so I'm like, well, what am I going to wear? And so
It's a big question.
So I was like, well, we're doing a thing on men's fashion. So over the summer, I got a hold of a shirt that is covered in Tom of Finland art. So kind of homoerotic art.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I'm going to go, if we're talking about menswear, I'm going to wear some men's.
Oh my goodness.
So that was my whole kind of thought process. And so it was a lot of fun just kind of seeing people talking about kind of fashion and things like that. But the next day we did a photo shoot at the Orpheum Theater for an event coming up next year, celebrating its 95th anniversary. So I have photos of me coming out of this big cake. Oh, and I thought when we were scheduling that, I was like, we should do this as close to my birthday as we can. Cause I was like, what better way to celebrate?
Oh my gosh.
Coming out of a huge cake.
Wow.
How funny.
So that was my birthday party.
That's amazing.
Marshall, I cannot picture you coming out of a birthday cake. Okay. I certainly would like to see that.
Oh, I can make that happen.
I bet it is. Oh man, that would be awesome. I would love it.
For your birthday.
Yes.
So it was so much fun.
I see the t-shirt on that for real. Let's do it.
Oh my God.
Let's do it. Think about it. That would be so cool for you. So cool. We're wearing I'd wear your t-shirt. Come on.
That's some good merch.
But it was great. Having that huge velvet, that red velvet drape from the Orpheum as the background. It was just beautiful.
I bet.
Wow.
So,
I can't wait. But
yes, the whole photo shoot. So it's kind of like I got some phone shots, and so I was just gonna. Photographer will probably have the official images in a week or two. But I'm happy to send you the one of me popping out of the cake.
Yes, please.
Well, actually standing in the cake, because the cake is quite tiny. Well, it's a big cake, but I wasn't about to try and crouch down into it. So
yeah.
Pyra was able to. She's used to contorting herself into that cake.
That I can picture you trying to crouch down in the cake. That I can picture.
So.
Oh, wonderful! That is too wonderful. Okay. Yeah.
And then this weekend, since I'm doing the presentation in Coolidge, and then just heading down to Tucson for a day, just to kind of, who knows. Haven't even let anyone know I'm going to be in Tucson yet. So I guess I should do that to see if anyone's available. So.
Right. That's not one of the places I would choose to go, Tucson.
But there's a great little tea shop there. So
there's an area. I don't know the name of the streets. I did a law school summer class there, and it's like a little hippie area that's around the corner from the school.
Maybe 4th Avenue. That sounds.
A lot of neat shops and teas and incense and crystals, and it's so nice. That area I've been to when I had to spend that time in Tucson. And you notice I said had to spend that time in Tucson. It was not one of my choices. That was where the school was. But I spent time on that street because it was just very peaceful. It was just nice. Really nice. So is that the area?
So that begs the question then, where would you go if you could go anywhere?
Oh, wow. If I could go anywhere, oh my God, I would go to the river now. I would go to Egypt.
Oh, wow.
Yes, that is my dream location, to go to Egypt, to ride the Nile, and just, yeah, and I'm going to do it real soon. In fact, I'm already planning some trips to a few different parts of Africa. My neighbor, who lives right across the way from me, he is from Mombasa. which is the port city in Kenya. And him and his mother, they keep telling me, come on over. Come on, you're welcome. You got a place to stay. Just get on the plane. Come over. I'm going to take him up on it. I'm going to go.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, that's something to look
Especially,
forward to.
I mean, if they have a place and you kind of get like an unofficial guide
Exactly.
that knows what's going on, that's even better.
I know. So I think I'll just give him a little call today and say, hey, when can I come? When's the best time? His mother, I believe, is a little ill because he's been gone from the United States for a couple months now. So he's taking care of her.
Okay.
So I, out of respect, I'm gonna, just see, maybe I can go and help. That would be even better.
Might appreciate the break.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a call today. Well, thank you for bringing that question up. See? So the next podcast, it would be cool if I could do it from Mombasa, huh?
Oh my God.
That would be amazing.
Yes. Okay. Good.
And Jasmine, what about you?
Where would I go? Anywhere? Yeah. I don't think about this much since I can't afford it.
It can be a local place as well. I mean.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've never seen the Grand Canyon. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but outside of the US, I would probably want to go to the Bahamas, where my dad's side of the family is all from, because I went when I was 2 years old and I don't remember anything, and have a lot of relatives that I don't know that are out there.
Nice. Well, Jasmine, maybe at some point we should take the train up from Williams to the Grand Canyon. Because you can do that as a day trip, which is a lot of fun.
I love taking the train.
And this is classic. This is the old school train.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah, you've never. So maybe I'll have a field trip.
Let's do it.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Oh, that would be awesome. Let's do it.
So, and it's so much fun. Did it actually earlier this year in the middle of winter, and it started snowing.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And so the Grand Canyon got shut down pretty much. So luckily we were staying the night. But yeah, I mean, I would love to just do the day trip of just zip up there and zip back.
Yeah.
That would be fun. Coming out of California, Jasmine, have you been around much snow?
No. I would go to the snow as a kid, but I have never lived anywhere where it snows. I don't think I could. I don't think I'm cut out for it. But actually, what's funny is the first winter I was living out here in Phoenix, my hometown, Santa Barbara, had like a climate anomaly of it snowing in the mountains of Santa Barbara. And I think the last time that happened, it was like the 50s. So that was crazy to see.
But you had already gone. You weren't there.
Yeah, it was my first winter that I wasn't there.
They have winters in Santa Barbara?
Just based on the calendar.
Right, exactly. That's like saying winter.
To track the date.
That's like saying winter in Phoenix.
I know.
Definitely by calendar.
Yeah.
So
and then the only other place that I've lived other than here and then Santa Barbara was in Northern California in Berkeley. And even there, I remember feeling the change of the seasons because things would, the leaves would change color and then maybe it rained. But still, like the range of temperatures stayed the same all year long. So I've never lived anywhere where there are proper seasons.
Wow.
Because Phoenix, doesn't have a winter.
Right. It's pretty much spring and summer. That's all we have.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say in Santa Barbara, it just has 70-degree breeze all year long.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. And actually, it's a luxury if you have air conditioning. Like, that's not a standard part of housing.
Wow.
So when a heat wave happens, aka it's above 80, people start freaking out. My mom would go to the Nordstrom and sit in the Nordstrom air conditioning in the woman's lounge, you know.
At 80. And we wish for 80.
I know.
It's like, yes, bring 80 on.
Right.
It's crazy.
What about you, Marshall?
You know, it's like I'm gonna get a chance. So after we do the Orpheum bit early next year, I'm then getting a chance to go to Shanghai. So yeah, so excited about that. Getting to see Paul in his so I'm gonna be there for about 3 weeks, getting a chance to hang out with him, which will be great.
That's gonna be so nice.
Yeah. You know, I've really been missing Provincetown. I mean, it's such a, again, there's just so much history there, and there's such a sense of community. And I love the fact that you can just get on your bike and go to the beach and read a book. And
nice.
so I just kind of like that laid backness. And then you can go see a drag show that night. And so I don't, yeah. So since I normally, I guess I would say Shanghai, but now it's like, I'm like, oh, but Provincetown has been lately on my mind. And especially thinking about, that's where I first connected with like Phoenix queer history, was going to Provincetown.
Right.
And then it kind of opened this door into so much more. And so.
Right. I've never been to Provincetown, but it sounds like a wonderful place to visit.
Yeah.
I like, because you can be as involved or as detached as you want to be. I mean, you can go out and close the bars and then hang out with everybody at the pizza place downtown, or you can just sit in your room and read a book.
I'll have to put that on my list of places to go.
So I think it's just it's a magical place. I've never been there in winter. I hear winter is quite harsh just because it's right on the water and people do live there year round.
Oh, okay.
So I've had friends who I've got a friend who used to live there and would go and would relish the winter, because it's kind of like, I guess in some ways it's like our summer. It's like so many people leave in the summer. So that is like, that's where you feel the true diehards, the ones that put up with the weather. So.
Oh yeah. Have you seen that American Horror Story season that's depicting off-season Provincetown?
I have not.
Oh my gosh. Put that on your watch list.
And last time we were chatting, you brought up was The Ultimatum.
Queer Love.
Yeah. Oh, Queer Love. Yeah.
Queer Love, The Ultimatum.
So I watched it through a different lens now, with then seeing the, and I think I had never watched the reunion show.
Oh, okay.
And so, I mean, and that just kind of brought all that drama.
Yeah. Bringing them all
check. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then it was funny. I was mentioning it to other lesbian friends. They were like, "Oh my god, we got like through the first 20 minutes and couldn't send any more of it."
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was the complete opposite. I watched it all the way through, like in one sitting. And then I watched Trixie and Katya. You would talk. Yeah, I haven't seen them kind of go back and forth about it, but that would be fun. I watched them watch it. I watched them watch it.
To hear their reactions to it.
Yeah.
And all the drama.
So good.
So, well, I'm also next month I'm so excited because we're going to have my friend Lynn on. We're going to talk about softball.
That's so
exciting. And Dot Wilkinson. I'm so excited.
And you mentioned something is
softball.
happening for around that for Pride this year, right?
So in October, the city of Phoenix will be naming a ballpark for Dot.
Right.
Lynn will also be here for Dot Wilkinson Day, and she's also releasing a book about Dot. And so really getting a chance. And so she's going to be at Changing Hands talking about it.
Okay.
And so she's like, yeah, I'd love to be on your podcast. And I'm like, woohoo. So we get to talk about kind of lesbian sports and just that world of sports, which I think I mean, that could be a multi episode. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So, are there women's softball games here in Phoenix?
There were. So did you ever see the movie League of Their Own?
Yeah, of course. I loved it.
So that was basically, I mean, so you had these softball games here that pretty much were the lesbian social outings.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so excited to have it. I mean, it was like, I mean, I met Dot a few times. We actually were able to get Dot to be a grand marshal of the Pride Parade one year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we did a little panel with somebody from the Diamondbacks. And I think we had somebody from Mercury. I think she was the only athlete actually on stage. And it was just kind of interesting. And so what I found fascinating was as we're driving back, so the first bar that we can document that was here was a lesbian bar in South Phoenix.
Oh.
Called Kay's Happy Landing Buffet. It opened up in the early 40s.
Wow.
And because they were deemed celebrities, she was like, oh, we could never go to a place like that where we'd be seen in public.
Oh.
And she's saying this on the drive back to her house. And I'm like, oh, I wish you had said that on the stage. But and of course it was like, and we're just like chatting and driving when she's saying that. And I'm like, I don't have any way to hit record or anything on my phone. So it was just forever, just kind of, I mean, recorded up here.
Yeah.
And so that's why her girlfriend was, and they would have these dugout parties. Where that's why all the softball players were dating other softball players, because that was the community they could run in and be themselves.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited to hear. I mean, Lynn was calling Dot every day for several years, just checking up on her. So very excited to hear from Lynn as we talk about just kind of that history.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jasmine, how would you like to play softball?
Would I like to play it?
Yeah.
I could be a ball girl.
What's like, the ball?
If it goes outfield, I'll go and get it and bring it back.
You wouldn't want to be hitting the ball or the pitcher or something?
I don't know if I could do that well.
Well, now, who said anything about doing it well?
That's true. Yeah.
I was thinking I would like to do it, but who said anything that I had to do it well?
It would be fun, yeah. It would be fun to be an outfielder.
Just stand out there. Oh, please don't let the ball come to me. Oh, I don't really want.
My girlfriend played softball growing up, I think, but I don't think in any significant capacity.
Well,
at least before, while she was in the closet, so it's not like she could really participate in the culture of it. Of
right,
lesbian softball.
Speaking of being in the closet, how was it for you to come out of the closet, or were you ever in the closet?
Oh my God, I was in like 3 closets.
3? Jeez.
With the doors locked. It was coming out was more of a difficult thing for me to overcome opposed to anybody else. Does that make sense? Like it was more of an internal barrier that I had to climb. And then once I got past that telling my friends, telling my families, that felt a lot easier than like the internal struggle that I felt, the internal closet I felt I was coming out of.
So why do you say 3 closets?
Well, 3 was just a random number, but it was for me like that personal struggle, internal turmoil, I guess is a good word, felt like a closet in itself. And then it was like a Russian doll of like, okay, I did that one. And then I had to unbox that. And then I had to unbox that. Because, I mean, for me, I grew up in didn't we all grow up in a heteronormative society, but it felt really intense. So it felt like I had to unlearn things in order to learn things about myself.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. I have thought about that, and it makes sense that we do come out of more than one closet. We have to internal. We've got to be able to tell someone once we come out of the internal closet, we still, to be able to tell people. And then I find that even now, after all these years of being out of the closet, I will still hesitate and think, do I really want them to know? How is that going to impact my life, their life, or someone in my family?
Yeah.
And I picked that up. Besides being female, Black, and lesbian, and Buddhist, it's like people judge you so much. Is their judging going to cause you to not be able to do what you need to do in life? And I've learned that just through being a Black female. What obstacles, what barriers are going to be there. Then you throw the lesbian in with it, and it's like, oh my God. Like here in my community, I don't hide who or what I am. I don't go and tell people, well, I'm a lesbian. I mean, straight people don't come and say, well, I'm straight.
Right.
I don't feel the need to do that. And so sometimes the comments that come out of the community, I just look at them and think, do they, what is my interaction with these people now that I'm seeing how they feel? So yeah, your response is very adequate. We can say even more than 3 closets. I think we're continuously coming out of closets every time we face an incident like that.
Oh yeah, we'll never stop coming out.
So where we just have to take a moment to think, do I let them know? Do I care? It's another closet.
Yeah. The closet that I feel like I've been coming out a lot recently is with doctors. Like you don't realize that you have to tell them every time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for me as a woman, I'm going to doctors and every time they're asking me about my chance of being pregnant. Are my sexual partners males? Like things like that. And especially going to a gynecologist, they always want you to be on birth control. I have to explain every time. I just recently went under anesthesia and they require like any woman of my age to do a pregnancy test. And the doctor had just met my female partner and then was asking me to give a pregnancy test. And I had to sign paperwork like refusing the pregnancy test. And it required all this legal documentation, and every nurse, every doctor that I interacted with that day had to ask me, so there's no chance you're pregnant. There's 0 chance.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm like, who can invent some like giant sign on your chart that just tells them the needs to know? Because I feel like they can do their homework a little bit better before, like, because that should inform patient care. That should inform a lot of how a doctor's going to interact with their patient. So it just shows that they're asking me all these questions. Like, I can't even imagine what somebody who's gender non-conforming has to take on their health care.
Right?
all the things.
Now that is something to really think about. Because of my past, I don't have that problem, plus my age. However, when I think about the younger generation, that's a problem. That is definitely a problem. And one way to possibly, and I don't know if it would work, just get a female doctor. They seem to be a little bit more understanding. For medical, I always do female doctors.
Yeah.
For eyes and ears, it doesn't matter. But for the internal organs and stuff, I do female. I'm like, they're easier to talk to. A lot of times the male doctors, they don't have the capacity to understand. And when I say capacity, because they're not female, it's just not, they just don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow. Sorry you have to go through that. We'll have to work on how to change that for you. And then
I've gotten used to, well, I've just, like the last 6 months, I've been having a lot of doctor's visits more than normal. So it's top of mind of just like, yeah, I really am going to keep coming. We're all going to keep coming out like every day to the person giving us our flu shot or whatever. But I have gotten used to my like disclaimer script that I give them before they say anything to me. Like just trying to get ahead.
What do you say, if you don't mind telling us?
I say, and before you say anything, I am lesbian. My partner is a woman. She's the only partner that I have. And good. I refuse to be on birth control for more than just that, like for other reasons as well. And yeah, if you have anything, like, I don't know, I just get ahead of that at least.
That sounds good. I like that.
It's kind of like the quizzes in the magazines, like, if yes, go that way. If no,
that's what I was thinking. It's like a flow chart. It's
I'm like, let's just skip those first few ones that I think I'm gonna assume that's the first thing that's gonna come out of your mouth,
or just have like a pre-printed card you just hand them.
I know.
In big letters, I'm a lesbian, right across the top.
Yeah, my girlfriend actually came with me to some of my appointments, and they thought that we were sisters.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, and we look very different. There's zero family resemblance, but
that's like back in the day. When Paul and I first met, we went to a mall in Jersey, and it was close to Valentine's Day, and we were like, oh, we should go get our photos taken. Now, Paul is like Southern Italian. I am pretty much as middle America as you can get. Okay. And so we walk into, one of these little like photo studios, and the woman's like going, are you two brothers?
Oh, you're right.
Oh, brothers getting their Valentine's Day photos taken.
So, yeah. And it's like, no, exactly. Come to find out she indeed was a lesbian as well. And she's like, well, I just had to make sure.
Oh, cute.
So once we had a little bit more to the story, it was like, okay, that's kind of cute.
Yeah.
So yeah. So then we did a little photo shoot there.
That's so cute.
So I know it's starting to wind down our time. I did want to just throw one thing out there. Why is it that we do this? Why are we having the podcast? Why are we looking for the history? Why are you doing it? Why do you want to do it? What do you think to achieve? And not to answer all those questions, it's also food for thought for us of what is our why? Mm-hmm. What's our why for being here? And we don't have to answer, but we can think about it too. Or
I mean, I can easily answer.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Well, it's interesting having been here 20 plus years. I was literally just listening to a podcast talking about LGBTQ Indiana history, which was interesting. And for me, it's just the fact that I'm here only because of so many other people. I'm standing on the shoulders of so many, some of whom I can name, some of whom I can't name. And so for me, it's just trying to not forget their struggles, the things they've put up with, and so just trying to highlight how did we get where we are and to help us inform where we're going. I mean, I think in some ways it's like finding out like the first female impersonator shows up in Arizona in the 1890s is pretty amazing when you think about that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was Tombstone. And so it kind of puts things in a different perspective.
Right. That's right.
Totally.
Well, we go through life, and a lot of times we have to do things in order to support ourselves to keep it going. And many times we forget or just don't pay attention to the people in our community, and we don't help and we don't reach out. And my why is because I want help. I want to reach out. I want to make a difference. And through a podcast and my storytelling, I can reach out. I can help. I've lived a lot of the in the community, and so I know how it was, and I know how exciting it was, and I miss it. However, I think that it's important that the people coming up now get to hear a little bit about it, something to know that what we've gone through and to keep moving forward. And if I can be a part of getting that out, I'm all in. 100% I'm in. That's my why.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the both of you said that so well. I don't know if I can articulate my why at the moment, but for me, the storytelling aspect, especially having this group in particular, the three of us, is important to me because, you know, especially coming to Arizona, I kind of felt a little disconnected and I was looking for my people and still am to a certain extent. And I feel like we're all hiding out in these little sectors of the valley. And I kind of see this as setting up more of a core unit, for lack of a better word.
Very nice.
And I love, extremely well said. I love the fact that we all bring completely different perspectives.
Yes.
Under that same umbrella. But I think that's so important to just realize that we all have a story to tell.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I really do look forward to getting a chance to hang out with the two of you more. Maybe we'll do some field trips. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be.
So,
2 thumbs up.
Indeed. All right. Well, I look forward to when we get together next time. And we'll have Lynn as we get a chance to talk about some lesbian history from the 40s and 50s.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear what she's got to say, talking about DOT and just kind of what the community looked like at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So very good. All right. So now let me see if I can hit buttons and make things happen.
All right. It was great.
Indeed. Look forward to seeing you all next time.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.